The Silent Choir. The small village of Black Hollow nestled in the shadow of a vast and ancient forest. The townsfolk lived simple lives, wary of the woods that whispered with a voice no one dared to acknowledge. Legends spoke of the Silent Choir, a group of unseen beings whose hymns could lure the soul from the body. No one ventured into the forest after dark. It was a rule so deeply ingrained that no one questioned it, except for Thomas Greaves, the village skeptic. Thomas prided himself on his logical mind, dismissing the choir as folklore designed to scare children. He was a man who sought proof and found none in the stories. One evening, as the autumn sun bled into the horizon, Thomas decided to put the legend to rest. Armed with a lantern and his steadfast disbelief, he stepped into the forest, the villagers' warnings trailing behind him like faint echoes. The woods were alive with an unnatural stillness. No rustle of leaves, no chirp of crickets, only silence so profound it pressed against his ears. As Thomas ventured deeper, the air grew colder, the lantern's flame flickering against an unseen draft. And then he heard it. A soft hum, faint and melodic, drifted through the trees. It was beautiful, haunting, and unlike anything he'd ever heard. Thomas froze, the sound wrapping around him like a physical force. His rational mind screamed to retreat, but his legs moved of their own accord, drawn toward the ethereal melody. The deeper he went, the louder the song became. Voices harmonized, each note piercing and perfect, yet devoid of warmth. The choir was singing. Thomas stumbled into a clearing where the moonlight poured down like liquid silver. At its center stood a weathered stone altar, surrounded by tall, shadowy figures cloaked in veils of darkness. They swayed to their song, their faces hidden, their forms shifting unnaturally. He wanted to scream, but his voice was trapped in his throat. The choir turned toward him in unison, their song shifting to a dissonant chant. His body felt weightless, as if his soul were being pulled upward, torn from his chest by invisible hands. "No," he gasped, clawing at the ground. His fingers bled as he gripped the earth, fighting the unnatural pull. The choir's song grew louder, deafening, drowning out his thoughts. Then the voices stopped. The silence was more terrifying than the music. The figures were gone, but the altar remained. Atop it sat a small, worn book. Trembling, Thomas approached it, the air thick with foreboding. The book's cover was unmarked, its pages yellowed with age. Against his better judgment, he opened it. The first page bore only one sentence: "We warned you." A whisper tickled his ear, and he spun around. The choir was there, their veils lifted, revealing faces that mirrored his own, distorted, hollow, and empty. Thomas screamed, but the sound never left the clearing. By morning, the villagers found only his lantern, flickering weakly at the forest's edge. His name was never spoken again, for the choir had gained a new voice. And their song continued.